My name is Nicholas Kibet from Group 7. I'll be taking you through inflation. And from the previous presentation, we have been guided on definition, types, and levels. Definition, types and levels. And there is a difference between the types and levels of inflation. Types of inflation and the levels of inflation. So we stated that there are 4 types of inflation. We stated that there are 3 types of inflation. Namely, demand pull, cost push, and build in. These are the types. Now we go to the levels, and we say levels because this one can be measured. We have the types. Types tells us the forms of inflation. But when it comes to levels, we say levels because this one can be measured. So we have some levels of inflation, and these levels are 4 in number. 4. The first one, we say it's creeping inflation. The second one, it's not galloping. It will be walking inflation. The third one is galloping inflation. And the fourth one is hyperinflation. So we will look at these levels in depth as we have described the types. We will also look at the levels in depth. So sorry for that. We start with creeping inflation. Is an inflation, and these are levels because it can be measured. So creeping inflation is an inflation which is it's a progressive inflation which ranges between 2% and 3% per annum per year. And this type of inflation, we can say it's good because it measures the growth of an economy of a country. This one is still it's still manageable by a country, and it shows how a country is progressing. So we go to it has its characteristics. And one of the characteristics is gradual increase. You see, 2 to 3% is something that is not moving so fast. It's gradual. The other one is predictability. It can be predicted. The third one is wage adjustment. You see, when the economy is growing, like at the beginning of the year, let's say January, the economy is at 0.5%, and then in maybe somewhere in June, it has grown to let's say 1%. So if the wage of someone was 10,000 at this point, definitely this wage of this guy also will increase to a certain percentage more than 10,000. You see that? And this one is very healthy. With gripping inflation, it is still very healthy. We go now to walking inflation. Any question? Yes? Gradual. Now, the second one we say it is walking inflation. Now, working inflation, it's another level which is also measured in percentages. And this one, working inflation is measured also in percentages, and that is why we say it's a level. And it's not a line, it's a level. So, working inflation is now, the other one was increasing from 2% to 3%. Yes? Now, this other one will be growing from now 3% to 10. To 10%. And this kind of working inflation is a level where it's not even gradual, it's growing faster. This one is like working faster. Now, we see, in these levels, it's like when a child is born, a child starts by crawling, then now that is sleeping for us, then standing, then falling, walking, then running. Yes? So it's something that is moving gradually. So this working inflation is measured between 3% and 10%. Are we together?
Yes.
Now it also has its characteristics that because this one is moving from 3% to 10%, and it's like it's faster. It's something that we can see. It's something that we can see. Maybe, for example, let me give an example so that you can understand. Today is 17th of October. You go to the shop and you find that bread is 50 shillings. Yes? Then there are some factors that between today and maybe on 10 days from now is 27th. 27th. There are strikes here and there. There are some factors that causes the inflation to shoot. To shoot that side that you get on 27th, the bread will be 100 shillings. Yes? So you will wonder, in 10 days, the price of bread was 50 10 days ago, and today is 27 and it's 100. So this one tells you that there is something that is shooting. There is something that is shooting here. So it will show you it is noticeable. So one of the characteristics of working inflation is noticeable. Another one is it has a potential of changing the wages. It has a potential of changing the wages. The causes can be push monetary policies. The third one, we say it's galloping. Number 3, galloping inflation. Galloping inflation. Now this one runs now from 10% to 50%. It has also the same characteristics as working inflation because it's noticeable. Now, this one is now getting almost to the danger zone of an economy. When an economy is at 50%, it's growing, and this is per annum. Remember, this is per annum or per year. This one is now almost reaching to the danger zone, which is the fourth one, which is hyperinflation. And for hyperinflation, it's an inflation. It's an economy that is growing 50% plus, and this one is very risky. Sometimes per month, sometimes it's per month, but when it comes to 50% per annum, also it's very high. And an example of this is a country called Zimbabwe. The economy of Zimbabwe was growing rapidly. Say that if you wanted even to buy bread, it was what? A lot of money. You carry money with a wheelbarrow going to buy bread, and money was losing value that time because we say the money, we define money and we give the characteristics of money. So when it comes to you carry a large bank of money buying something small, then it's losing its value. Yes. So and that is what we want to cover in the types and the levels of inflation. You have a question?
Not a question, but say Kenya, tuko inflation ya tulitoka 12 and 5 16. Yeah, galloping now. So where are we? Are we so risky?
Yes, we are risking because we are not at that risk because as our economy is growing to that 16%, other countries also are growing. So we are.
Are you sure our inflation is matching with the development of our country?
No, we cannot match our. We are better than Uganda. Yes? Because when you have 1 shilling in Kenya, it's worth almost 30 shillings in Uganda or Tanzania. So we are better off. But with that 16 also, we are not so much safe. Because one, we buy oil from overseas, yes? And when our currency is low and theirs is high, it means we will use a lot of money to get what we have, yes? And when we get this thing and bring it back to Kenya, with that price, definitely the price of that thing will go up. And remember, when the price of fuel goes up, gas and oil, when this goes up, everything goes up. You know that?
Yes.
Because of cost of production. Yes?
Yes.
So, currently, we are not better off and we are not far much bad. We are bad. So, with that, with the types and levels of inflation, I welcome my friend to continue with the process of inflation. Thank you very much for having me. Have a good evening.